More vehicles, big vehicles, small vehicles, fast vehicles, new vehicles.
More deaths, more accidents, less care and concern for life and property.
What's the real reason?
Well, Tobago CSI took the opportunity to speak to some of the professionals, some of the agencies involved, as well as persons who have caused accidents, or those affected by accidents.
So whether you are a pedestrian or a driver, this information is important for you. The situation on our roadways in Tobago is untenable. Tobago CSI sought out the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to obtain a perspective on what's happening and how we can better protect ourselves and be safe on our nation's roadways. Who better than Corporal Sebro to give us this information? Let's go have a chat with him now. Good day, Mr. Sebro.
Good day, ma'am.
And welcome to Tobago CSI.
Thank you very much.
Very well. Now, I
Thanks
know
for
you have
having
a
me.
lot of experience in the service, especially in the traffic area. And so we thought you're the best person to give us some of the answers that we need to get. So tell me, in your own words, what's the situation on the roads in Tobago now?
Well, currently, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, for the strategic plan for 2015,
Right.
we have embarked on a zero tolerance, a reduction in road traffic accidents
Okay.
of 10%, a reduction in fatal accidents, road traffic accidents, by 10%. We have also implemented strategies in increasing our highway patrols
Okay.
by 10%. Also, we are seeking to increase, or we have already increased, our mobile patrols and foot patrols by 5%.
All right.
And also in Tobago, you know, it's a tourist-oriented destination.
Okay.
We have what we call the bicycle patrols, and we have also sought to increase the bicycle patrols by an additional 5%, all in a view of reducing the carnage that is taking place on the roadways.
So is it really bad?
For the period between January 2015 to June of 2015, our statistics would have shown that Tobago would have recorded approximately 994 road traffic accidents.
994, you say, right?
Yes, 994. Out of these road traffic accidents, we'll have recorded 59 serious accidents
Okay.
and 3 fatal accidents out of that figure, which for an island of Tobago's
Our
size
yeah.
is too many.
Okay. So what's contributing to this high level of accidents on our roadways?
One of the main contributory factors with regard to these accidents, I would say, or what we have noticed, is the use of alcohol. 1. 2, excessive speed.
Right.
And these two are of major concern to us because over the past, since the year has started, we have had an additional increase in DUI exercises. DUI meaning driving under the influence exercises. Right? It is all in an effort to sensitize the motoring public, and also along with these exercises, it's not merely to prosecute,
Right.
but we also do some form of voluntary testing,
Right.
because there are many different activities that take place in Tobago, and when we have such activities, we would normally have a tent on the outskirts,
Right.
so that we can have the patrons come and test themselves voluntarily, so that they would know what is their reading, if it is within the legal limit. And the legal limit, which is 35 micrograms per 100 milliliter of breath.
Right.
Anything in excess of the 35 micrograms is by law.
I know.
You would be.
Okay. Now, we were privileged to be on one of those exercises and see, you know, the officers in action dealing with the issue. Do you think this is making a difference and the increased presence on the roadways as well?
I think it has done a remarkable effort in reducing the carnage, because take for instance, we just had the Great Race.
Yeah.
And over the Great Race weekend, we would have had over 33 persons would have been prosecuted for driving under the influence. And those persons would have gone before the courts, and the courts would have dealt with those matters. At the same time, the road traffic accidents over that period was very minimal. So I would take it that the presence of the police
is working.
It is working.
All right, great. Now, what are some of the common infringements you see people having on the roadways, or the risky behaviors that you see being displayed?
There are quite many. And one in particular, improper overtaking on the left. Those are vehicles that
People do that?
People do that. They do that. They choose not to wait.
Yeah.
They break the line of the traffic because
on the left, you say?
On the left. Sometimes you will be traversing, well, the Colonial Highway runs east-west.
Right.
And sometimes you will be traversing either east or west, and you will be so surprised to see that someone overtakes you on the left.
Okay.
So that, and even on a morning time, well, you know that Tobago has had an added influx of vehicles over the past years.
Yeah.
And as such, our road network remains the same, unfortunately. However, the demarcations on the roadway clearly indicate where the shoulder of the highway is, and where the lane is for you to traverse.
Right.
And you would find that there are many persons, especially on the Signal Hill, approaching the Signal Hill Lambo intersection, whilst you're proceeding east, many persons would overtake all the way from down by CITI Hardware and come up the road just before the bus shed.
Right, to get
and
in
swing
there.
up to go up to Signal Hill.
Yeah, but officer, listen. The road's real narrow. We know that. And people have to get there. So why should I wait in this long, long line there? And there's a clear passage where I can go.
You know why you have to wait there? Because number one, it's the correct thing to do.
Okay.
Number two, safety for yourself and for the other drivers on the roads.
Okay.
And we know that most of the persons who would be doing that on a morning, they are taking their kids to school. And a simple thing that I would always say is, if we as adults practice the wrong things, the younger generation is going to believe that the wrong thing is the right thing.
Okay. So you're saying despite what,
maintain and stay.
Okay.
Yes, the roads are narrow, and yes, but at the end of the day, as long as the road network remains this way, there's nothing that we, the motoring public, can do but to adhere to the highway code and the regulations.
Okay. Quickly, any other major infringements you see?
The electronic devices. Typical cell phone. You traverse, you see them on the cell phone, on the laptop, on the iPad, and all these carry a penalty of $1,000. It's a hefty fine. But there are some persons, I don't know if it is at the figure, the fine, it doesn't hurt their pocket, but it is not safe. It distracts you from engaging in proper use of the roadway, ensuring that you are alert, and you must be alert when you're driving. It's the same thing. It comes like a person who is intoxicated. Their senses aren't alert to anything, and you are distracted. So all these offenses are very, very serious offenses, and they carry grave consequences.
Okay.
And when I say grave,
Right.
I have two meanings. Serious consequences and to your grave.
Right.
God forbid.
Okay.
All right.
So you're saying there's zero tolerance?
Zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance. Okay, what is expected of the public when an officer pulls you over? What should we do? You're a driver, you hear that horn, you know, in the kind of way that you do that horn.
The siren?
Yeah, the siren. What should you do?
The first thing that I would advise any driver to do is to comply with the officer. The siren has its purpose, and that purpose is merely to navigate the traffic safely. And when I say that, to ensure that the officer is letting the motoring public be aware that
It's coming.
I'm coming.
Right.
And he could be responding to various emergencies. Some of these emergencies could be medical emergencies. In the case that he's conveying someone who has been injured,
Right.
be it in a vehicular accident, be it in whereby an assault, right, where a wound, somebody is wounded, and so on, and he's conveying that person to the medical institution. He could be on an escort. Take, for example, a presidential escort,
Right.
a prime ministerial escort, an escort whereby, you know, there's need for the presence of the police to clear the roadway.
Yeah.
Right? So that persons must comply. And failure to comply, there is a charge under the motor vehicle and road traffic laws where that is concerned. Right? And it carries a penalty of $1,000.
Okay.
Failure to comply with the directives of a police
officer.
officer. Yes.
Okay, so you feel that not enough people being charged, that's why this thing going on, so on. Are officers lenient on the road?
At times we have to exercise what is called discretion,
Right.
and at other times we have to enforce the law.
Okay.
All right? It depends on the officer and what he believes or perceives to be the breach of the offense that would have been committed.
Okay, great.
It's up to him.
Okay,
As
so
they
I
say,
could smile at the officer and I could say, sorry, you know, officer.
Well, there are times that a beautiful smile may assist you, and as well as there are other times that, based on the offense committed, the officer would politely tell you, could I peruse your driver's permit and insurance for production, and walk back to his motorcycle or police vehicle
and give me
and start to document it and give you a ticket. All right?
So, with all these accidents on the roadways, we've had a lot. I would like you to tell the listening audience, you know, what is the responsibility of someone when an accident happens? What should they do?
Any person who is involved in a road traffic accident, be it a minor accident, or a serious accident, one of the critical elements is to ensure that the individuals involved in this accident, no one is seriously injured. If someone is seriously injured, as a driver, you seek to render aid.
Right.
You exchange documents. If it is a minor accident, you can exchange documents, and you immediately, as long as the vehicles can be removed, can be driven, you immediately seek to get to the nearest police station or the nearest police officer in uniform.
Okay.
However, if that is not possible, and the nearest, let us say an accident occurs in Scarborough, and you visit Crown Point Station, and you make your report there, we have within the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service what is called a open door policy, right? And you go directly, one door policy, you go directly to Crown Point, you give them your report, you can do it there, and Crown Point Police now would communicate with Scarborough Police, where the accident would have occurred,
Okay.
and we will deal with it as the case might be.
Okay, great.
Right.
So, your final words of advice to the motoring public and to passengers, not passengers, pedestrians as well. You know,
one of the main things that I would like to urge pedestrians. We have recognized that pedestrians seldom utilize the infrastructure that is designated for them to use, which is the walkovers.
Yeah,
like where we are presently standing.
Yes.
You would find that persons would attempt to cross the roadway arbitrarily, and you're seeing now lately that many persons, they have earplugs in their ears.
Right.
They are so concerned with the cell phone in their hands or the iPad, as we would have spoken about earlier, that they are not concerned with the traffic that is flowing.
Do we charge people for jaywalking?
Yes, we have
never seen someone charged in Tobago for jaywalking.
Yes, we have done that. We have charged persons already for jaywalking. And failure, they are also crossing in areas that are not designated, because we have markations on the roadway.
Yes.
And we don't employ persons from the Ministry of Works, from the Tobago House of Assembly. They are road painters, sign painters, and they are not employed just because they want to give somebody a work.
Yeah.
They are employed because persons need to know where they need to walk, where they can cross, as the case might be. Right. So I want to urge the motoring, the pedestrians, to use the walkovers carefully, cross, look left, look right, look left again, look right, and when you cross the road, do so briskly, so that you can reach home safe to your loved ones, because we all have loved ones to go home to.
True.
All right, and to the motoring public has several categories, and we have the truck drivers, and I want to make mention of the truck drivers, because we have many truck drivers who are conveying aggregate. They're not securing these trucks, and the stones or the pebbles are blowing onto the roadway. They are leaving them on the roadway. Vehicle, they are making contact with the windscreen of drivers.
Yep.
And this is a charge. This also is a charge under the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act chapter 4850.
So there is some by the Rockleyville traffic light that somebody
is shown
on the
roadway.
Yes.
Another thing is that we have observed these cement mixers, especially when you're traversing, going to the countryside. There's litter all over the roadway from the mixers, and the stuff eventually stays on the roadway, becomes hard and dangerous to road users, motorcyclists, and other road users, as the case might be. To the motorcyclists, I want to urge, we have a growth in motorcycle clubs in Tobago, and I want to urge the motorcyclists that they also have to pay cognizance to the road traffic laws. It is important that they do this, because at the end of the day, if a motorcyclist is involved in a vehicular accident, it is not to say that with a vehicle, with a motor vehicle, a car, that you have something that could stand up to. It is your body.
Yeah.
Your body is the only shield.
That's why I will never drive them.
Right, so you have to be concerned. We have to ride defensively. We have to drive defensively. We have to take into consideration that as we approach, or as we are in the rainy season, and we have intermittent showers regularly, we have to ensure that our vehicles are properly maintained.
Right.
That the treading on the wheels of the vehicle is so beaded that you can have traction when you look to stop. You have to remember and be mindful that when you are driving in wet conditions, it is not as if you are driving when the road is dry. So you have to decrease your speed as the case may be on the roadways.
Okay.
Ensure your windshield wipers are functional. And at the end of the day, remember that the police is your friend.
Okay.
Right? And if, as I say, if at the end of the day, I want everybody to ensure that safety is of paramount importance to them on the roadways, and we all have a family to go back home to. And if I am road safe, because you need to be road safe also.
Yeah,
all
I
right?
think so. Thank you
Okay,
very
then.
much, officer.
You're quite
I
welcome.
think you've done this very, very, very well. We are happy for the information that you have shared with us today.
Quite welcome, and I thank you for having me. Much obliged, and we will continue to work hand in hand as God gives us health and strength.
Certainly.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Mr. Supersad. Today on Tobago CSI, we're speaking with the Acting Assistant Commissioner of Transport, Tobago, who will share with us particularly his insights on the situation with road accidents, road and vehicular accidents in the Tobago situation. Mr. Supersad, could you tell us your full name and what you do in Tobago as Acting Assistant Commissioner?
Okay, I am Jivan Supersad, Assistant Transport Commissioner, Tobago. As Assistant Commissioner in Tobago, I am in charge of all vehicle registration and the control of all motor vehicles. That is registration, inspection, new and foreign use, and also the issue of all driving permits from Class 1 to Class 7.
Okay, so you have a pretty good idea as to what's happening with the situation on our roads currently with regard to safety. What would you say exists?
Well, presently with the growth in the vehicle population in Tobago, we are seeing an extent of some lawlessness on the roads, and more so the drivers are not obeying the traffic signs and signals and that sort of thing. It's a question of both enforcement and the drivers ought to be a little more patriotic and observe the signs and that sort of things.
And what are the problems we're seeing that's causing?
Well, obviously a lot of accidents is on the increase in Tobago now. For this year, we already had 1 fatal accident. Statistics have shown that it's increasing. For the year 2014, we had 3 fatal accidents. And by Tobago standards, it's on the increase. That is increasing. And more so, serious accidents are on the increase as well.
Increase.
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think this is happening? What's contributing to that?
Well, as I said, one of the main reasons is that the vehicle population is increasing. We have like about 23,000 vehicles stand to be corrected in Tobago now. And we need a lot of, mainly the drivers ought to be a little more, they ought to respect the law, and be a little more law-abiding, for a better word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done any review into what are the causes of the accidents that we are having, especially those that are fatal? What's the primary cause?
Well, if you look at the extent of damages to these vehicles, you will see one thing in common. From the impact, you could tell that high speed was consistent with the extent of the impact. So speed is a very important factor here. That is one of the areas we are looking into. Now, the problem we have in Tobago is that we cannot have a police officer or a law enforcement officer for each motorist. Right. We expect the motorist to observe the road signs, obey the law, and it's a tourist-oriented environment, and we need to set some better examples.
What are some of the major challenges that you've been having as a division in terms of discharging your functions?
Well, the problem is that with the resources we have, it's limited. And we seek assistance from the police. As at the licensing department, we only have 2 officers in Tobago who actually works on the road to ensure that the laws are enforced. We need to have programs like this, little more social programs, and we look for corporate sponsors to sort of make the motorists a little more aware of the consequences of not obeying the law. So we need a little more social programs and to educate the public or to have them more informed.
Okay, so increased awareness.
Awareness.
Now we know that Tobago is a festive kind of society, and
Okay.
we have lots of periods at times when things like harvest and wakes and funerals and weddings and you know the works.
Okay.
Are there any particular periods when we are having more accidents happening? Is there any patterns that we should be aware of?
Well, this is one of the areas, not only in Tobago, I might be all over the world. But what you find during these festive seasons, even myself and the 2 officers will go out there with the assistance of the police to ensure that we have increased enforcement around these times.
Okay, right.
Because there is a pattern that during these times that accidents are more prevalent. But like, you know, any festive season, alcohol goes with it.
Right.
So that is the area we're looking into. Yeah. The breathalyzer is now in force, and with the consultation with the police, we're going to have even more, you know, we're going to be, our presence in the road is going to be more prevalent.
Okay. And any particular words of advice you would want to give to the listening public?
Mainly, is to obey the traffic signs and traffic signals, and we expect you to drive with some consideration, you know. Sometimes the courtesy comes before the right of way. You'll see, for some reason or the other, someone may have to veer to the right or left to avoid an accident. So we ask the motorists to be a little more courteous, be respectful of the other road users, that is pedestrians, and cyclists likewise. The whole question here is about obedience to the law.
Okay.
Yeah, we cannot, if you notice recently, there are a lot of traffic, what they refer to as traffic delineators, signs are being erected to keep motorists in a particular lane.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very costly thing in Tobago. We wouldn't want to go that way to have like each motorist caged into a particular area. We expect that you see a sign here, keep to the right or keep to the left, no right turn and no left turn. We expect you to obey those signs. We don't want to erect delineators and restrictions or barriers, as they call it, to keep you on that particular side of the road.
Okay. Thank you very much for your words of advice, and I hope that we really do adhere to ensure that we have safer roads.
Thank you and welcome.
Now, recently I had the discomfort of witnessing a very horrible accident on the roadways in Tobago. And you know, it created so much emotion in me, from being upset to sad to really, really, really angry to see the behavior of motorists on our roadways. So I'm here at the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, and I'm going to talk with Officer David Thomas about what we can do to help make our roadways safer in Tobago. Okay, welcome Mr. Thomas to Tobago CSI. I'd like to ask you first, as an experienced fire officer, could you give us your opinion on the current situation with road traffic accidents in Tobago?
I'm happy to be sharing this information because, of course, it's a major concern for us as an organization, because there has been a phenomenal increase in road traffic accidents over the past couple of years. And of course, we would want to associate it with several different things. But they are the areas that we could look closely at and work towards the reduction of the carnage we are seeing on the road.
Okay, before we get to what we can do to reduce, could you tell us what are some of the things that's causing it? Why are we having so much accidents? I remember the days when we had 1 or 2.
Well, in my opinion, the number one factor that is contributing to this carnage on the road is indiscretion. People are no longer exercising discretion in the way they drive, in giving consideration to road conditions, in giving consideration to defects on vehicles, tires, the speed at which we drive, right? Even in terms of our alcohol consumption.
Right.
And even in terms of the use of seat belts, no longer you have people being prepared to exercise the level of discretion necessary.
But we have more stringent laws regarding some of those things now. Is that making an impact at all?
Well, in my opinion, is Probably not, because you have seatbelt laws that carry huge fines.
Right.
You have laws that governs people who give themselves to alcohol.
Right.
Right? And those, in my opinion, have not served as deterrent, because people are still finding
And why do you
themselves
think
engaged.
it's that? Do you think it's because of our own community and we know each other and what? We don't think we get caught?
Well, in a general sense, I think the population is becoming more and more intolerant. People are just not tolerant. They're not exercising the level of tolerance
Right.
that is necessary to ensure that we abide and that we maintain a certain level of decorum, as it were, you know, and a proper standard of living in terms of the way we carry about ourselves.
Right.
Right? And that is something of major concern. It can even be viewed from a societal point of view in terms of an illness.
Right.
And once you have that kind of fallout, you find that critical areas like the roadway, if you have individuals showing that attitude on the roadway,
Right.
then the end result is carnage.
Right. Now, I know you've been at the scene of many, many accidents in Tobago. What stands out for you when you get to the scene? Is there any particular thing that stood out as being, you know?
Yeah, there is always a sense of loss and hurt. And in a lot of the instances, the hurt that you experience can remain with you forever. For instance, as it relates to a loss of life,
Yeah.
how do you value that? How do you replace it? How do you forget? How do you heal?
Yeah.
You may be able to replace property. You may be able to repair your car. You may be able to repair other items that might become damaged. But a life is lost.
Yeah.
And it leaves a void. And sometimes it leaves you in a position where you hurt for the rest of your own life.
Right, right. Okay, I want to take you back to the scene of an accident. A major accident just happened. What should people do? Because you know sometimes an accident happens and the closest thing is everybody pull up at the side of the road and everybody wants to see and so on. How does that affect the officers who are carrying out their functions at that time? What is the appropriate response that the public should have?
Well, let me firstly say, we do appreciate greatly the fact that people are concerned and that people want to help.
Yeah.
But having said that, one must understand his or her own ability. If you can truly help, then become involved. If you cannot help, then do all the other things that you can do. Call the emergency services. Right? You might be able to assist in slowing down other road users, right? And to bring them to the awareness that something is happening here. So they need to exercise the extra bit of caution and so on. So it's not always the best thing to become involved, because